the knife in there.
What's up, guys? Spenny. FBI Director Kash Patel delivering a masterclass slaughterhouse inside of the House and Senate chambers. With embarrassing clips like these going viral, this is President Trump's impeachment manager. She's a congresswoman from Pennsylvania, a very nasty, angry, old, embittered, lib, boomer, who thought she had a gotcha question on Kash Patel, saying, "When are you gonna lock me up?" Little did she know.
His perceived enemies, as you followed this blueprint. When can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
Let me move on.
Well, you should read the book because there's no enemies list on that book. There are people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people, and they were rightly called out. And you should give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
Kash was cooking. Now, this was in the House. Kash went on over to the Senate today, and they can get some too. Kash began by talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Very interesting stuff. Pam Bondi made a lot of news yesterday by saying that tens of thousands of videos of Jeffrey Epstein with children and with other powerful people with children were being gone through by the FBI right now.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims, and no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that.
So she says that the FBI is going through and scrubbing the files to make sure that nobody has their life ruined, or no, they don't release an explicit child material. And I think everybody can be for that, right? As long as there's transparency there and they're not scrubbing the evidence. Okay. Well, Senator Kennedy asked about it. Senator Kennedy is one of those dudes who regularly asks about Jeffrey Epstein. He's one of the senators with balls who can actually, talks about Jeffrey Epstein, makes jokes about him, and brings him to the forefront. And he asked Kash Patel about Epstein, about this evidence.
Jeffrey Epstein hang himself, or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Kash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
CSAM is, for lack of a better term, explicit child videos and photos. So I don't think anybody's advocating for that, right? But what we are advocating for is more of this. So Kash Patel is saying that we are going to be getting these Epstein tapes. Okay, well, that's two very powerful people back to back saying that. Good. At least the acknowledgement of that is fine by me. Let's move the ball down the field, right? A score is a score. Senator Patty Murray didn't score. In fact, she had her career ended by Kash Patel, who asked him about the FBI targeting people. Like, how dumb are these Democrats? They do not understand, like, that Kash is set and ready to go, that they targeted Kash Patel, that you can't play the victim here to Kash Patel. This is Senator Patty Murray, again, who looks like any woman at a Tesla protest.
On leave, FBI employees responsible for the investigation of January 6th. That sounds political to me.
I have not placed anyone on leave who has not violated their ethical obligation or their oath to the Constitution.
So if they were investigating January 6th, you believe they were violating an ethic obligation?
Nope. I think the common theme here is you putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to tolerate it, nor will the men and women of the FBI.
Well, you did place on leave an analyst responsible for investigating Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. Is that politicization? Is that retribution?
No, not if she broke the law or the ethical guidelines. I don't know which case you're talking about, but that's the standard. And we will hold ourselves inwardly accountable, and we will not be strayed from our mission because people think we are politicizing the Bureau. If you want to talk about someone who was attacked by a weaponized Bureau, you're looking at him. And now he's the director of the FBI, and he's cleaning it up.
Well,
Oh, right? Yes. Oh, man. Just freaking awesome. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Kash Patel just doing God's work, wrecking Patty Murray. I think the common theme is you're putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to tolerate it. If you want to talk about somebody who was attacked by a weaponized bureau, you're looking at him. And now he's the director of the FBI. It's a freaking beauty right there. Just rings like a bell. Kash Patel wasn't done yet. Senator Merkley, in front of the entire Senate, claims he doesn't understand due process. As a first public defender who served as director, I'm more aware of due process than any of my predecessors. Kash Patel going ham here.
It concerns me that you're not familiar with the core concept of due process applying to all persons as written in black and white in the Constitution.
As the first public defender who's ever served at the FBI as its director, I am more aware of due process than any predecessor in my seat. You are delineating between removal proceedings and criminal acts. My job is to investigate criminal acts. That's what we do.
And the senator who just went and had margaritas in a very romantic setting with MS-13 members in El Salvador is crying. Chris Van Hollen of Maryland is sad that Kash Patel is locking up judges who break the law and posting photos of them in handcuffs. Kash Patel's perfect response here. They're afraid, and they should be.
Today, of many individuals' due process rights. Let me ask you a question about Judge Dugan, and I'm not going to get into about Judge Dugan, who was arrested, taken out in handcuffs from her courtroom. You agree that as director of the FBI, you should lead by example, right?
Try to.
Okay. Well, there's a confidentiality and media contacts policy within the Department of Justice guidelines that says specifically that DOJ personnel should not voluntarily disclose a photograph of a defendant unless it serves a law enforcement function or unless the photograph is already part of the public record in the case. Clearly, Judge Dugan's photograph was not already part of the public record in the case. So it appears that what you did was a violation of that policy, unless you can express a clear law enforcement purpose for having done that.
The simple law enforcement purpose is to show America that we investigate any individual who commits a crime, especially those in positions of public trust.
But do you agree with the presumption of innocence in the U.S. system?
Absolutely. As a public defender, that's what I fought for years. Well, but that's different than this.
But Mr. Director, this is one of the reasons why that guideline is there, so people, especially the director of the FBI, doesn't announce to the country that somebody's already been found criminally liable when they haven't. She hasn't, has she?
But that's not what we said, that she was criminally liable. We said she was arrested.
No,
showed it.
Yeah, we know she was arrested, but the issue is the photograph. I'm asking you, going forward, I hope as the leader of the FBI, you will comply with the guidelines of the FBI that everybody else is expected to follow.
I believe I have, and I will going forward.